In the remote mountains of Mongolia, archaeologists just discovered the skeleton of a warrior so massive, so impossible, that the government immediately classified the findings. What they found next to this giant as remains will shatter everything you thought you knew about human history. Welcome back to the Dim Hour Stories, where we dive into the mysteries that mainstream science refuses to acknowledge. I'm your host, and today we're exploring ancient discoveries so disturbing, so impossible, that they've been hidden from the public for decades. What you're about to see in the next hour will challenge everything you believe about our past. From giant warriors who wielded weapons no human should be able to lift, to evidence of cannibalistic rituals that predate recorded history, to islands where the dead refuse to stay buried. But before we begin this journey into the forbiddens, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. In the next 60 minutes, we'll uncover a 17-foot-tall warrior whose sword is so massive it takes 6 men to lift it, and the government doesn't want you to know where they found it. A 5-year-old child whose bones reveal the most horrifying truth about our ancestors' darkest secrets. An ancient comb carved from human skull that may hold the key to understanding prehistoric cannibalism. The Great Pyramid's hidden secret that archaeologists have been covering up for over 80 years. A shark attack victim from 3,000 years ago, whose injuries tell a story that will make your blood run cold. And finally, an island off the coast of Venice, where half the land is made of human bones, and locals swear they can still hear the screams of the dead. Before we dive into these forbidden mysteries, I need to know, are you ready to question everything you've been taught about human history? Because once you see this evidence, there's no going back. Drop a "reveal the truth" in the comments if you're brave enough to continue. And remember, the algorithm only shows these videos to those who truly engage. So smash that like button to help us expose these hidden secrets to the world. Also, I have to warn you, some of what you're about to see is genuinely disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Now, let us begin with a discovery so shocking that it has been buried deeper than the ancient grave where it was found. In 2019, a team of archaeologists working in the Altai Mountains of Mongolia made a discovery that would change everything. They were excavating what they thought was a typical ancient burial site when their equipment detected something massive buried beneath the surface. What they unearthed defied all logical explanation. The skeleton they found measured an impossible 17 feet in length. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. Next to this giant's remains lay a weapon so massive, so perfectly crafted, that it could only have been wielded by someone with superhuman strength. The local government immediately seized all evidence and classified the discovery. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Batbayar, was reportedly silenced with threats to his career and family. But leaked photos and measurements have surfaced, and what they reveal will haunt your dreams. This isn't just another archaeological find. This is evidence of a race of beings that may have walked the earth alongside our ancestors. Beings that possess technology and physical capabilities that we can barely comprehend today. The sword found next to this Mongolian giant measured 18 feet in length and weighed over 100 pounds. A metallurgy analysis revealed techniques that weren't supposed to exist for another 1,000 years. The blade was forged with a precision that modern technology struggles to replicate. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. Carbon dating placed this burial at over 1,200 years old. That means these giants were walking the earth during the height of the Mongol Empire. Were they the secret behind Genghis Khan's unstoppable conquests? Were they the gods that ancient texts speak of? The questions are endless, but the evidence is undeniable. And this is only the beginning, because this Mongolian giant isn't alone. Across the world, similar discoveries have been made and immediately covered up. In Japan, they found a weapon so impossible that it challenges everything we know about physics. In Spain, they discovered evidence of cannibalistic rituals, so disturbing that the researchers refused to publish their findings. And in the depths of the ocean, they found a shark attack victim, whose injuries reveal a truth about our ancestors that will make you question everything you thought you knew about human history. Stay with me as we uncover these forbidden secrets, one terrifying discovery at a time. The truth has been hidden for too long, and today we're going to expose it all. Remember, the only way these hidden truths reach more people is through your engagement. Hit that like button now, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments which mystery you want to explore first. And whatever you do, don't look away, because what comes next will change how you see the ancient world forever. Let's begin with the weapon that should never have existed. The weapon that defied physics was discovered in 2018, buried beneath the ruins of Hiroshima Castle. What archaeologists found there has been kept secret from the public for over 5 years. But leaked documents reveal a discovery that challenges everything we know about ancient metallurgy. The Demon Blade of Hiroshima, as it's been secretly named, measures 14 feet in length and weighs 89 pounds. But that's not what makes it impossible. When scientists analyzed the metal composition, they discovered something that shouldn't exist. The blade contains elements that weren't discovered by modern science until the 20th century. Dr. Kenji Nakamura, the lead researcher who was later mysteriously transferred to a different project, wrote in his classified report that the sword's molecular structure appears to be held together by forces that modern physics cannot explain. The metal maintains its sharpness despite being over 800 years old, and when they attempted to take a sample for testing, their diamond-tipped drill bits shattered against the blade. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Computer modeling shows that this sword would require superhuman strength to wield effectively in combat. We're talking about someone with the physical power of 10 ordinary men. The balance, the weight distribution, the grip design, everything about this weapon was crafted for hands much larger than any human alive today. Local legends speak of the Oni warriors, giants who served the ancient daimyo lords. These were mythical creatures. They were flesh and blood beings who stood nearly twice the height of normal men. The Demon Blade may be the only surviving evidence that these giants actually existed. The Japanese government has classified all research on the weapon, citing national security concerns. But why would an 800-year-old sword be a threat to national security unless it proves something they do and want the world to know? Remember to hit that like button if this is blowing your mind, because what comes next is even more impossible. The armor discovery happened just 6 months after they found the Demon Blade. Construction workers building a new subway line in Kyoto broke through into an underground chamber that had been sealed for centuries. What they found inside defied all logical explanation. A complete suit of samurai armor, but scaled for someone nearly 16 feet tall. The helmet alone weighed 45 pounds. The chest plate was thick enough to stop modern bullets. But the most disturbing detail was etched into the metal itself. Symbols that don't match any known Japanese writing system. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a specialist in ancient Japanese armor, examined the suit before it was confiscated by government officials. She reported that the craftsmanship was unlike anything she had ever seen. The joints moved with precision that modern engineering struggles to achieve. The metal showed no signs of corrosion, despite being buried for over 700 years. But the truly impossible part was the weight distribution system. The armor was designed so that its massive weight would be perfectly balanced on a human frame, but only if that human was between 15 and 17 feet tall. For anyone smaller, the armor would be completely unwearable. Carbon dating placed the armor at approximately 1,200 years old, making it contemporary with the legendary Heian period when Japan's most famous samurai tales were born. Were these stories not myths, but historical accounts of actual giant warriors? The government moved quickly to seal the underground chamber and relocate the armor to an undisclosed facility. All workers who discovered the site were required to sign non-disclosure agreements under threat of imprisonment. Drop a comment below if you think the government is hiding evidence of ancient giants, because the cover-up goes deeper than you can imagine. But Japan isn't the only place where impossible weapons have been discovered. In the remote mountains of Tibet, Buddhist monks have been guarding a secret for over 1,000 years. A weapon so terrifying that they believe it could bring about the end of the world if it ever fell into the wrong hands. The Thunder Sword of Mount Kailash was first documented by British explorer Colonel James Morrison in 1891. He wrote in his private journal that the monks showed him a blade that seemed to hum with electrical energy. When touched, it produced sparks and made the hair on his arms stand up. Morrison described the sword as being nearly 10 feet long, with a blade that appeared to be made of crystallized lightning. The monks told him it was forged by their ancestors, using techniques taught to them by beings who came from the sky. They claimed the weapon could split mountains and turn enemies to ash with a single strike. Modern attempts to study the Thunder Sword have been blocked by the Chinese government, who took control of the monastery in the 1950s. But satellite imagery shows unusual electromagnetic readings emanating from the area where the weapon is supposedly kept. Dr. Elena Volkov, a Russian physicist who claims to have seen classified Chinese military reports, states that the sword exhibits properties that current science cannot explain. She believes it may be constructed using technology that is thousands of years ahead of our current capabilities. The monks who guard the weapon follow ancient prophecies that speak of a time when the Thunder Sword will be needed to defend humanity against a great evil. They train in secret, passing down combat techniques designed specifically for wielding this impossible weapon. If you're getting chills right now, smash that subscribe button, because these ancient weapons are just the beginning of a conspiracy that reaches into the highest levels of world governments. In northern Scotland, archaeologists made a discovery in 2020 that they're still trying to understand. While excavating a medieval battlefield, they uncovered a warhammer so massive that it took 8 men to lift it from the ground. The Highland Giant's hammer, as locals call it, weighs 340 pounds and measures 7 feet in length. The head alone is larger than a car tire. Forensic analysis of the battlefield suggests this weapon was actually used in combat, based on the devastating impact craters found in the surrounding stone. What makes this discovery even more mysterious is that historical records make no mention of giants fighting in Scottish battles. Yet the evidence is undeniable. The hammer as design is perfectly functional, every aspect engineered for maximum devastating impact in the hands of someone with incredible strength. Dr. Malcolm Fraser, who led the excavation, reported finding human remains scattered around the hammer's discovery site. The bones showed crushing injuries, consistent with being struck by a weapon of this size and weight. But here's the disturbing part. Some of the bones belonged to horses, suggesting that whatever wielded this hammer was strong enough to kill a warhorse with a single blow. The Scottish government has moved the hammer to a secure facility, citing the need for further study. But leaked photos show that the weapon bears inscriptions in a language that predates known Celtic scripts by centuries. Local Highland clans have legends of the Fir Bolg, giant warriors who defended Scotland from invaders in ancient times. These stories were always considered mythology until the discovery of the hammer provided physical evidence that giants may have actually walked among our ancestors. Make sure to hit that notification bell, because the evidence we re-uncovering suggests a coordinated effort to hide the truth about ancient giants from the modern world. The most recent discovery happened just last year in the Australian outback. Mining operations uncovered what appears to be an ancient weapons cache buried 30 feet underground. The collection includes spears over 20 feet long, clubs the size of telephone poles, and shields large enough to cover a small car. But the centerpiece of this collection is a boomerang unlike anything ever found before. It measures 12 feet across and weighs 180 pounds. Aboriginal elders who were consulted about the discovery immediately recognized it from their oldest Dreamtime stories. According to these ancient oral traditions, the giant boomerang belonged to the Bunyip warriors, massive beings who protected the land in the time before time. The elders claimed their ancestors learned hunting techniques from these giants before they mysteriously disappeared into the earth. Carbon dating places these weapons at over 40,000 years old, making them among the oldest human artifacts ever discovered. But the size and construction suggest they were made for beings far larger than any humans known to science. The Australian government has restricted access to the site and classified all research findings. But Aboriginal communities continue to perform ceremonies honoring the memory of the giant ancestors, suggesting this knowledge has been preserved in secret for tens of thousands of years. If governments around the world are working together to hide evidence of ancient giants, what else are they keeping from us? The answer to that question will shock you to your core, and we're going to explore it in the next section. But first, let me know in the comments, do you believe ancient giants once walked the earth alongside our ancestors? The evidence is mounting, and the cover-up runs deeper than anyone imagined. What I am about to reveal is so disturbing that 3 different universities have refused to publish the research. In 2021, deep in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania, archaeologists stumbled upon something that changed everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. They called it the Whispering Caverns. The moment you step inside, you can hear voices. Children's voices echoing from chambers that have not seen daylight for over 8,000 years. Dr. Elena Vasquez was the lead archaeologist on this expedition. What she found in those caves haunts her to this day. Carved into the walls were symbols no linguist could translate. But it was not the symbols that made her team flee in terror. Small skeletons were arranged in perfect circles throughout the cave system, hundreds of them, all children between the ages of 5 and 12, each one showing signs of ritualistic preparation. The bones had been carefully cleaned, arranged, and marked with the same untranslatable symbols found on the walls. Carbon dating revealed these remains span across multiple time periods. Some bones were 8,000 years old. Others were from 6,000 years ago. Some were only 2,000 years old. This was not a single event. This was a practice that continued for millennia. The Romanian government immediately sealed the caves and classified all research. But leaked documents reveal something even more disturbing. Similar cave systems have been found across Europe, all with the same symbols, all with the same arranged remains, all immediately classified by their respective governments. In Peru, high in the Andes Mountains, anthropologist Dr. Marcus Rodriguez made a discovery that nearly cost him his life. While studying remote indigenous tribes in 2019, he encountered the Huanca people, a group that had remained hidden from civilization for centuries. According to his leaked field notes, the Huanca still practice rituals that date back thousands of years. Rituals involving the consumption of human flesh. Not just any human flesh, the flesh of their own children. Dr. Rodriguez describes elaborate ceremonies where families would offer their youngest child to ensure good harvests. The child would be prepared according to ancient traditions, and the entire village would participate in the ritual consumption. The most disturbing part is that this is not just historical practice. It is happening right now, today, in 2024. When he attempted to report this to Peruvian authorities, he was told to keep quiet or face serious consequences. His research was confiscated, his credentials were threatened, and he was banned from returning to the region. In Nevada, construction workers accidentally broke through into an underground chamber while building a new casino outside Reno. What they found inside defied explanation. The chamber, carbon dated to over 1,500 years old, contained what can only be described as a human processing facility. Stone tables covered in ancient stains, drainage systems designed to channel blood, tools specifically crafted for butchering human bodies, and walls covered in the same mysterious symbols found in the Romanian caves. The Nevada State Archaeological Department sealed the site within hours. All construction workers were required to sign non-disclosure agreements. The casino was built anyway, directly over the chamber. In the Scottish Highlands, the MacLeod clan has guarded a secret for over 400 years. Hidden in their ancestral castle is an artifact so disturbing that only the clan chief is allowed to see it. It is called the Bone Comb of the Children. This is not just any bone comb. It is carved from the skulls of human children, with the same mysterious symbols we have seen in Romania and Nevada etched into each piece. According to clan records, the comb was used in rituals designed to communicate with the dead. Current clan chief Duncan MacLeod claims that when the comb is used during the full moon, voices of dead children can be heard throughout the castle. Voices speaking in languages that have not been used for thousands of years. The British Museum has repeatedly requested to study the artifact, but the MacLeod family refuses. They claim that removing it from the castle would unleash something that has been contained for centuries. In the archives of the Louvre Museum in Paris, there exists documentation of something called the Renaissance Feast Society. This was an elite group of French nobility who met monthly between 1580 and 1610. According to recovered documents, these were not ordinary dinner parties. The society practiced what they called ancient communion, which involved the ritualistic preparation and consumption of human flesh, specifically targeting orphan children from the streets of Paris. The most disturbing detail is that the society claimed they were following recipes and rituals found in ancient texts, the same texts that describe the symbols we have seen carved in caves across the world. When the society was finally exposed in 1611, all members were quietly executed and their meeting place was sealed. But the building still stands today, and according to maintenance workers, strange sounds can still be heard from the sealed chambers below. We have covered ritualistic sites in Romania, ongoing practices in Peru, processing facilities in Nevada, supernatural artifacts in Scotland, and elite societies in France, all connected by the same symbols, all involving the same horrific practices. What are the chances that these are all isolated incidents? What are the chances that governments around the world are sealing these sites to protect us, rather than to hide something much more sinister? What we are about to explore next will reveal architectural mysteries that suggest these ancient practices were far more organized than anyone wants us to believe. The evidence we are about to uncover has been hidden in plain sight for centuries, and once you see it, you will never look at ancient monuments the same way again. The most terrifying discoveries are not hidden in remote caves or ancient burial grounds. They are built into the very structures we walk past every day. Buildings that were designed with purposes so dark that their true functions have been erased from history. In 2020, renovation work at Notre Dame Cathedral revealed something that has never been reported to the public. Behind a false wall in the cathedral's foundation, workers discovered a chamber that does not appear on any architectural plans. A chamber filled with the same mysterious symbols we have seen across the world. The chamber was not empty. It contained stone altars, stained with substances that forensic analysis confirmed as human blood. The blood was not ancient. Carbon dating revealed it to be less than 100 years old. But here is where it gets truly disturbing. The chamber was not sealed from the outside. It was sealed from the inside. Someone or something had been locked in that chamber, and they had tried desperately to get out. The walls were covered in scratch marks, as if made by human fingernails. The Vatican immediately classified the discovery and had the chamber resealed. All workers were required to sign agreements that would result in excommunication if broken. The renovation was completed, and the chamber was built over with concrete 3 feet thick. In Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza holds secrets that archaeologists have been forbidden to explore. In 2017, Thermal imaging revealed hidden chambers deep within the pyramid. Chambers that emit heat signatures consistent with ongoing activity. Dr. Ahmed Hassan led the initial exploration team that entered these chambers. What they found defied all known Egyptian burial practices. The chambers were not tombs, they were workshops. Ancient workshops filled with tools and equipment that should not have existed 4,000 years ago. Precision cutting instruments made from materials that modern science cannot identify. Measuring devices accurate to microscopic levels. And tables covered in the same symbols we have seen in Romania, Nevada, and Paris. But the most disturbing discovery was the evidence of recent activity. Food remains that were less than 5 years old, modern clothing fibers embedded in ancient stone, footprints in dust that had not been disturbed for millennia. Someone has been using these chambers, recently, regularly, and they do not want to be found. The Egyptian government sealed the chambers and banned all further exploration. Dr. Hassan and his team were relocated to undisclosed positions and have not been seen publicly since 2018. In Peru, Machu Picchu contains architectural features that archaeologists refuse to discuss publicly. Beneath the main tourist areas lie chambers connected by tunnels that extend for miles underground. These tunnels connect to other ancient sites across South America. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed that the tunnel system extends over 2,000 miles, connecting Machu Picchu to sites in Bolivia, Ecuador, and Colombia. All of these sites contain the same architectural features: stone altars, drainage systems, and walls covered in the familiar symbols. But what makes these tunnels truly terrifying is that they are not abandoned. Motion sensors placed by research teams have detected movement throughout the tunnel system. Movement that follows patterns consistent with organized human activity. The Peruvian government has restricted access to these areas and refuses to allow international research teams to investigate further. Local guides report strange sounds coming from the tunnels at night. Sounds that include human voices speaking in languages that have been dead for centuries. In England, Stonehenge was not built as a calendar or astronomical observatory. Recent ground-penetrating radar has revealed the true purpose of this ancient structure. Stonehenge sits above a massive underground complex that extends over 10 square miles. The complex contains chambers arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Each chamber is connected to the others by tunnels that form symbols when viewed from above. The same symbols we have seen carved into caves and temples around the world. Archaeological teams that have entered the complex report, finding evidence of activities that continued well into the medieval period. Stone tables covered in stains, drainage channels carved into floors, and walls covered in scratch marks made by human fingernails. The most disturbing discovery is a chamber directly beneath the center stone circle. This chamber contains what can only be described as a well that descends so deep that no team has been able to reach the bottom. Sounds echo up from the well, sounds that include human voices, voices that respond when spoken to. The British government has classified all research related to the underground complex. Tourist access to Stonehenge is carefully controlled to prevent anyone from detecting the hidden entrances to the chambers below. In Cambodia, Angkor Wat contains features that archaeologists have been instructed never to document. The temple complex sits above underground chambers that dwarf the structures visible on the surface. These chambers contain evidence of activities that continued long after the temple was supposedly abandoned. Fresh carvings in ancient stone, modern materials mixed with artifacts that are over 1,000 years old, and drainage systems that show signs of recent use. The Cambodian government allows limited access to researchers, but only to specific areas of the complex. The underground chambers remain off limits to all but a select few individuals whose identities are classified. Local villagers report seeing lights in the temple complex late at night. Lights that move through areas that are supposed to be sealed and abandoned. They also report hearing sounds. Sounds that include chanting in ancient languages and what can only be described as screaming. What we are looking at is not isolated incidents of ancient ritual sites. What we are looking at is evidence of a coordinated global network. A network that has been operating for thousands of years and continues to operate today. These architectural mysteries are not just historical curiosities. They are active facilities. Facilities that are being used right now by people who have access to resources and influence that span governments and institutions around the world. The question is not what these places were used for thousands of years ago. The question is what they are being used for today, and who has the power to keep these activities hidden from public view. What we are about to explore next will reveal prehistoric encounters that suggest these ancient practices may not have originated with human being at all. The evidence we are about to examine will challenge everything you think you know about the history of our planet. The evidence we have examined so far suggests that these ancient ritual practices may not have originated with human beings. What I am about to reveal will challenge everything you believe about the history of our planet and the creatures that have shared it with us. In 2019, paleontologists working in the Gobi Desert made a discovery that has been completely suppressed by the scientific community. They uncovered fossils that do not fit into any known category of prehistoric life. Fossils of creatures that appear to have been designed specifically for hunting human beings. Dr. Sarah Chun was part of the excavation team that made this discovery. According to leaked documents from her research, these creatures stood over 12 feet tall and possessed anatomical features that suggest intelligence far beyond any known prehistoric predator. The creatures had opposable thumbs. They had enlarged brain cavities. And most disturbing of all, they had tool marks on their bones. Tool marks that indicate they created and used weapons. But here is what makes this discovery truly terrifying. Carbon dating revealed these fossils to be only 8,000 years old. These creatures were alive at the same time as early human civilizations. They coexisted with our ancestors. The Chinese government immediately classified the discovery and relocated Dr. Chun to an undisclosed facility. The excavation site was declared a military zone and has been off-limits to civilians since 2020. But leaked satellite images show ongoing activity at the site. Large excavation equipment continues to operate 24 hours a day. And according to anonymous sources within the Chinese military, they are not just digging up fossils. They are digging much deeper. In Siberia, Russian scientists have discovered something even more disturbing. Preserved in the permafrost are remains of creatures that challenge our understanding of evolution itself. These creatures appear to be hybrids, part human, part something else. The specimens were discovered in 2021 during mining operations in the Yakutsk region. The miners initially thought they had discovered human remains, but forensic analysis revealed anatomical features that do not exist in any known human population. These creatures had skulls that were 30% larger than modern humans. They had bone density that was 3 times greater than normal, and they had teeth that were designed for tearing flesh. Not just any flesh, human flesh. But the most disturbing feature was their hands. These creatures had hands that were perfectly adapted for grasping and manipulating tools. Tools that were found buried alongside the remains. These were not primitive stone tools. These were sophisticated instruments made from materials that do not occur naturally on Earth. Materials that modern metallurgy cannot identify or reproduce. The Russian government has classified all research related to these discoveries. The mining site has been declared a restricted zone and is now guarded by military personnel. All miners who made the initial discovery have been relocated and their identities classified. In Australia, Aboriginal elders have spoken for thousands of years about creatures they call the bunyip. According to traditional stories, these creatures hunted human beings and consumed their flesh as part of ancient rituals. Western scientists have always dismissed these stories as mythology. But in 2022, Construction work in the Australian outback uncovered evidence that these stories may be based on historical fact. Excavation teams discovered a cave system that contained remains of creatures matching the exact descriptions given by Aboriginal elders. Creatures that stood over 10 feet tall. Creatures with human-like intelligence and the physical capabilities to hunt and kill humans with ease. The cave system also contained evidence of organized hunting activities, weapons specifically designed for capturing humans, holding areas where humans were kept alive for extended periods, and altars where ritualistic activities took place. Carbon dating revealed that these activities continued until approximately 400 years ago. This means these creatures were active during the early period of European colonization of Australia. The Australian government has restricted access to the site and classified all research. Aboriginal elders who attempted to share traditional knowledge about these discoveries have been threatened with legal action if they speak publicly. In North America, Native American tribes across the continent share stories about creatures they call the Wendigo. According to tribal traditions, these creatures were once human, but were transformed through cannibalistic rituals into something inhuman. Archaeological evidence discovered in 2020 suggests these stories may be based on encounters with actual creatures. Excavations in the Pacific Northwest have uncovered remains of humanoid creatures that show evidence of both human and non-human characteristics. These creatures had human-like skeletal structure, but with modifications that suggest adaptation for hunting and consuming human flesh. Enlarged jaw muscles, extended limbs, and bone density that would allow them to overpower humans with ease. But the most disturbing discovery was evidence that these creatures continued to exist much later than previously believed. Remains found in the excavation sites had been carbon dated to less than 200 years ago. This means these creatures were active during the westward expansion of European settlers. It means they were hunting and killing humans well into the 19th century. The United States government has classified all research related to these discoveries. The excavation sites have been declared off limits and are now monitored by federal agencies. Native American tribes that have attempted to share traditional knowledge about these creatures have been pressured to remain silent. But the most disturbing evidence comes from modern encounters. Reports from hunters, hikers, and Forest Service personnel describe encounters with creatures that match the exact descriptions of the Wendigo from tribal traditions. These encounters are not ancient history. They are happening today, in our national forests, in our wilderness areas, and they are being systematically covered up by government agencies. Park rangers have reported finding evidence of predation that does not match any known animal behavior. Evidence that suggests organized hunting of human beings. Evidence that includes the same symbols we have seen, carved into caves and temples around the world. What we are looking at is not just historical evidence of unknown creatures. What we are looking at is evidence that these creatures may still exist. They may still be active. And they may still be hunting human beings as part of the same ancient rituals we have been investigating. The question is not whether these prehistoric predators existed thousands of years ago. The question is whether they exist today, whether they are still operating according to the same ancient patterns, and whether the global network we have discovered is not just human in origin. What we are about to explore in our final section will reveal lost civilizations and sacred artifacts that suggest these creatures may not be extinct at all. The evidence we are about to examine will show that everything we have investigated so far may be connected to something that is still active, something that is still hunting, something that considers human beings not as equals but as prey. The creatures we have been investigating did not operate alone. Archaeological evidence reveals they worked alongside human civilizations that possessed knowledge and technology that should not have existed thousands of years ago. Civilizations that created artifacts so powerful they are still being sought after by governments and secret organizations today. In 2018, satellite imaging detected anomalies beneath the ice sheets of Antarctica. What researchers found there has been classified at the highest levels of international security. Buried beneath 2 miles of ice lies a city. A complete city with architecture that does not match any known human civilization. The city covers an area of over 50 square miles. It contains structures that rise over 300 feet into the ice above, and it shows signs of having been abandoned recently. Very recently. Dr. Michael Torres led the initial expedition to investigate the Antarctic city. According to leaked documents from his research, the city was not built by any known human civilization. The architecture follows geometric patterns that do not exist in human design. The construction materials include substances that do not occur naturally on Earth. But the most disturbing discovery was that the city was not empty. It contained artifacts that were actively maintained and showed signs of recent use. These artifacts included devices that generated energy from unknown sources, instruments that could manipulate matter at the molecular level, and most terrifying of all, containers that held organic materials preserved in perfect condition for thousands of years. The organic materials were not plant or animal remains. They were human body parts, hearts, brains, and other organs preserved in solutions that kept them alive and functioning outside the human body. The international coalition that discovered the city immediately classified all research and established a military perimeter around the site. Dr. Torres and his team were relocated to secure facilities and have not been seen publicly since 2019. But satellite monitoring shows ongoing activity at the Antarctic site. Large transport aircraft arrive and depart on a regular schedule. Construction equipment operates continuously despite the extreme conditions. And according to anonymous sources within the military, personnel stationed at the site report hearing sounds from within the buried city. Sounds that include human voices speaking in languages that have never been recorded by linguists. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes have guarded knowledge of a lost civilization they call the Builders. According to tribal traditions, the Builders possessed technology that allowed them to reshape the landscape and communicate across vast distances without any known methods of transportation or communication. In 2021, deforestation activities accidentally uncovered evidence that these tribal stories are based on historical fact. Beneath the jungle canopy lies a network of structures that extends across thousands of square miles. Structures that include cities, roads, and installations that serve purposes modern science cannot explain. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed that these structures connect to similar installations in Peru, Bolivia, and Colombia. The entire network forms geometric patterns when viewed from satellite imagery. Patterns that match the symbols we have seen carved into caves and temples around the world. But what makes this discovery truly terrifying is that the installations are not abandoned. Motion sensors placed throughout the network detect regular movement that follows organized patterns and suggests ongoing human activity. The Brazilian government has restricted access to the area and classified all research related to the discovery. Indigenous tribes that have attempted to share traditional knowledge about the Builders have been relocated to government reservations and forbidden to speak publicly about their traditions. Local pilots report seeing lights moving through the jungle at night. Lights that follow the same patterns detected by the motion sensors. They also report areas of the jungle where electronic equipment malfunctions and aircraft experience unexplained mechanical failures. In Tibet, Buddhist monasteries have guarded artifacts for over 2,000 years. Artifacts that were created by a civilization the monks call First Ones. According to monastery records, the First Ones possessed knowledge that allowed them to manipulate reality itself. The artifacts are kept in chambers deep beneath the Patala Palace in Lhasa. These chambers are accessible only to the highest ranking monks and are protected by security measures that combine ancient traditions with modern technology. In 2020, Chinese authorities attempted to gain access to these chambers as part of their occupation of Tibet. What they found there has never been officially reported, but leaked documents suggest the artifacts are not just historical relics. They are active devices that respond to human interaction. The artifacts include objects that can project images and sounds across vast distances, instruments that can detect thoughts and emotions, and most disturbing of all, devices that can alter human consciousness and behavior. According to the leaked documents, Chinese researchers who interacted with the artifacts experienced psychological changes that persisted long after exposure. Changes that included enhanced cognitive abilities, altered perception of time and space, and compulsive behaviors related to the symbols we have seen throughout our investigation. The Chinese government has stationed permanent military units at the monastery and restricted all access to the artifact chambers. Monks who have attempted to prevent the removal of artifacts have been imprisoned or have disappeared entirely. But the artifacts cannot be moved. Every attempt to relocate them has resulted in equipment failures, personnel casualties, and phenomena that defy scientific explanation. The artifacts appear to be connected to the location itself and resist any attempt at removal. In Egypt, the Valley of the Kings contains tombs that archaeologists have been forbidden to explore. These tombs do not contain the remains of pharaohs or nobles. They contain artifacts created by a civilization that existed before recorded Egyptian history. The artifacts were discovered in 2017 during routine maintenance of existing excavation sites. What archaeologists found defied all known understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities. The artifacts included devices that generated light without any power source, instruments that could cut through solid stone with precision impossible for ancient tools, and containers that preserved organic materials indefinitely without any known preservation methods. But the most disturbing discovery was a chamber filled with what can only be described as a library. Stone tablets covered in symbols that matched those we have seen around the world. But these tablets were not carved by hand. They were created using technology that could etch symbols at the molecular level. The tablets contain information about human anatomy, astronomy, and engineering that was not discovered by modern science until the 20th century. They also contain detailed instructions for the rituals we have been investigating throughout our exploration. The Egyptian government has classified all research related to these discoveries and established a security perimeter around the affected tombs. International archaeologists who have requested access have been denied without explanation. But according to satellite monitoring, the sites show signs of ongoing activity. Ground-penetrating radar detects movement within the sealed chambers. Electronic equipment placed near the sites experiences regular malfunctions, and personnel stationed at the security perimeter report hearing sounds from within the tombs. Sounds that include mechanical operations and human voices speaking in ancient Egyptian dialects. In Ireland, Celtic stone circles contain artifacts that have been hidden from public knowledge for over 800 years. These artifacts were created by the Druids using knowledge they claimed was given to them by beings they called the Tuatha De Danann. According to Irish historical records, the Tuatha De Danann were not human. They were beings who possessed technology that appeared magical to human observers. They taught the Druids to create artifacts that could manipulate natural forces and communicate across vast distances. The artifacts are hidden in chambers beneath stone circles throughout Ireland and Scotland. These chambers are protected by the Irish government, and access is restricted to authorized personnel only. In 2022, construction work near Newgrange accidentally breached one of these chambers. What workers found there has been classified by both the Irish and British governments. But leaked reports suggest the chamber contained devices that were still operational after thousands of years. The devices included instruments that could predict weather patterns with perfect accuracy, tools that could heal injuries and diseases, and most disturbing of all, artifacts that could influence human thoughts and emotions at a distance. Workers who entered the chamber reported experiencing visions and hearing voices that provided information about future events, information that later proved to be accurate in every detail. The chamber was immediately resealed and the construction project was abandoned. Workers who made the discovery were relocated and required to sign agreements that prohibit them from discussing their experiences. What we are looking at is not just evidence of lost civilizations. What we are looking at is evidence of civilizations that possess technology that exceeds our current capabilities. Technology that is still active, still operational, and still being used by individuals and organizations that have access to knowledge and resources that span thousands of years. These artifacts are not museum pieces. They are active components of a system that has been operating since before recorded history. A system that involves the creatures we have investigated, the ritual sites we have explored, and the architectural mysteries we have uncovered. The question is not what these lost civilizations accomplished thousands of years ago. The question is what their technology is being used for today, and who has access to capabilities that could reshape human civilization itself. What we are about to reveal in our final section will connect all of these discoveries to a location that still exists today. A place where all of these ancient mysteries converge. A place that holds the ultimate truth about what we have been investigating. Every mystery we have investigated leads to one location. A place so secret that it does not appear on any map. A place so dangerous that governments around the world have agreed to keep its existence hidden from humanity. A place known only as the Island of Death. The island lies in international waters between the Bermuda Triangle and the Sargasso Sea. It measures exactly 13 miles in diameter and rises from the ocean floor in perfect geometric patterns that do not occur in nature. Satellite imagery shows structures on the island that match the architecture we have seen in Antarctica, the Amazon, and Tibet. But this is not just another archaeological site. This is the center of operations, the command center for everything we have discovered. In 1962, a joint military expedition from 12 nations was sent to investigate the island. Only 3 personnel returned. The survivors were immediately classified and have remained in secure facilities for over 60 years. According to leaked documents, their debriefing reports describe discoveries that challenged the fundamental understanding of human history. The island contains facilities that are simultaneously ancient and modern. Structures built from materials that do not exist on Earth, powered by energy sources that generate no waste or emissions. These facilities are not archaeological ruins. They are active installations operated by beings that are not entirely human. The survivors described encounters with entities that matched the prehistoric predators we investigated earlier. But these creatures were not primitive or savage. They possessed intelligence that exceeded human capabilities and technology that allowed them to manipulate matter, energy, and consciousness itself. The creatures were not alone. They worked alongside humans. Humans who had been modified using the same technology we discovered in the lost civilizations. Humans whose lifespans had been extended far beyond normal limits and whose capabilities had been enhanced to superhuman levels. These enhanced humans served as intermediaries between the creatures and human civilization. They operated the global network we have been investigating. They maintained the ritual sites, the architectural mysteries, and the artifact locations. And they recruited other humans to participate in activities that served the creatures' purposes. The debriefing reports describe a hierarchy that has existed for thousands of years. At the top are the creatures themselves, beings whose origins predate human civilization. Beneath them are the enhanced humans who serve as administrators and enforcers. And at the bottom are regular humans who are used as resources, subjects, and in some cases, food. The island serves as the coordination center for this entire system. It contains laboratories where humans are processed and modified, communication centers that maintain contact with sites around the world, and most disturbing of all, breeding facilities where new generations of both creatures and enhanced humans are produced. But the most shocking revelation in the debriefing reports concerns the scope of their operations. This is not a small group operating in secret. This is a global organization with influence that extends into governments, corporations, religious institutions, and scientific organizations around the world. The enhanced humans have infiltrated human society at every level. They hold positions of power and influence that allow them to control information, direct research, and manipulate events to serve their purposes. They are the reason why discoveries are classified, witnesses disappear, and evidence is suppressed. In 1963, the 12 nations that sent the expedition signed an agreement known as the Protocol of Silence. This agreement established international cooperation to prevent any further investigation of the island and to suppress any information related to its existence. Since then, the island has been protected by an international naval perimeter that operates under the cover of environmental protection. Ships and aircraft that approach the area experience equipment failures and are diverted by military vessels from multiple nations. But satellite monitoring shows increasing activity on the island. Construction projects that dwarf anything attempted by human civilization. Transport vessels that arrive and depart on regular schedules. And energy signatures that indicate operations requiring power levels that exceed the output of entire nations. According to anonymous sources within intelligence agencies, the activity on the island has intensified dramatically in recent years. The creatures and their enhanced human servants are preparing for something that will affect all of human civilization. The ritual sites we investigated are not just historical locations. They are part of a communication network that allows the island to coordinate activities around the world. The symbols we have seen carved everywhere are not just decorative. They are functional components of technology that operates on principles human science does not understand. The artifacts we discovered are not just relics from lost civilizations. They are tools and equipment that are still being used to monitor, influence, and control human behavior on a global scale. The architectural mysteries we explored are not just ancient monuments. They are active facilities that serve as processing centers, communication hubs, and recruitment stations for the island's operations. And the prehistoric predators we encountered are not extinct. They are thriving on the island and in hidden facilities around the world. They are breeding, evolving, and preparing for expanded operations that will bring them into direct contact with human civilization. The question is not whether this global network exists. The evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. The question is what they are planning and when they intend to implement it. Intelligence reports suggest that the current phase of their operations is nearing completion. The sites have been prepared. The artifacts have been activated. The enhanced humans are in position, and the creatures are ready to emerge from hiding. What we have investigated is not just historical mystery. It is current reality. It is happening right now, and it will affect every person on this planet. But here is what the governments and institutions do not want you to know. You have more power than they want you to believe. Knowledge is the most dangerous weapon against their operations. Awareness is their greatest fear. They have spent thousands of years operating in secret because they know that an informed human population cannot be controlled. They have suppressed evidence and eliminated witnesses because they know that truth is more powerful than their technology. Every person who learns about their operations becomes a threat to their system. Every person who shares this information weakens their control. Every person who refuses to remain silent reduces their power. This is why I need you to take action right now. Do not let this information disappear into the algorithm. Do not let their suppression efforts succeed. Share this video with everyone you know. Post it on every platform you can access. Send it to your friends, your family, your coworkers, and your communities. The more people who know about this, the harder it becomes for them to maintain their secrecy. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because I will continue to investigate and expose their operations. I will continue to find evidence and reveal the truth, regardless of the risks involved. Leave a comment with your own experiences and knowledge. Many of you have encountered evidence of these operations without realizing what you are seeing. Your stories and observations are pieces of a puzzle that reveals the full scope of their activities. Like this video to show the algorithm that this information matters. The more engagement this video receives, the more people will see it. The more people who see it, the more difficult it becomes for them to suppress the truth. Most importantly, stay alert. Watch for the signs we have discussed. Look for the symbols we have identified. Pay attention to locations that are restricted or classified without explanation. Notice when evidence disappears or when witnesses are silenced. You are not powerless. You are not helpless. You are not alone. There are millions of people around the world who are beginning to understand what is really happening. Together, we have the power to expose their operations and protect humanity from what they are planning. But we must act quickly. The evidence suggests that their next phase of operations is imminent. The time for passive observation is over. The time for action is now. Share this video. Subscribe to this channel. Stay informed, stay alert, and remember that the truth is more powerful than their lies. Knowledge is more dangerous than their weapons, and an awakened humanity is their greatest fear. The island of death exists. The global network is real. The threat is immediate. But the power to stop them lies in your hands. Do not let them win. Do not let them succeed. Do not let them continue operating in darkness. The light of truth is the only weapon we need. But it only works if we use it. Share this video now. The future of humanity depends on it.